Have you ever wondered why your legs aren't what they used to be? You still eat healthy. You still walk, still exercise, still try to keep yourself in the best shape possible. But then one day, climbing stairs suddenly feels harder. Getting up from a chair takes longer. Every step feels like it takes more effort than you're used to. And you start thinking, maybe it's just aging. But what if it's not just age? What if there's something you eat every day, without a second thought, that's quietly weakening your legs? This might surprise you, because sometimes the problem isn't what you aren't doing. It's what you are doing every single day, believing it's the right thing. We grow up believing fruit is natural, healthy, and always good for us. And that's exactly why so many older adults are making the same mistake every single day, without realizing it. They think they're making the right choices. But here's a truth that very few people dare to say out loud. Not all fruit is right for the body after age 60. The truth is, some common fruits, the ones you eat every week, maybe even every day, can gradually weaken leg strength, trigger joint inflammation and knee pain, make walking feel more tiring step by step. These fruits, often promoted as healthy, may actually damage your balance, circulation, and leg muscles. As we age, our bodies change. Metabolism slows down, blood vessels become more sensitive, and things that used to be good for us can start causing harm little by little. The danger is, you won't notice it right away. There are no sudden signs, no loud warnings, just a quiet feeling, calves aching after a short walk, thighs sore, knees stiff, legs feeling heavy even when you haven't done much. And then you start moving less. You lose strength. You lose freedom. In today's video, I'll share with you 7 seemingly harmless fruits that people over 60 should avoid if they want to keep their legs strong, steady, and pain-free. Once you understand their real impact, you'll never look at your fruit bowl the same way again. If you care about your legs, if you want to keep walking confidently, watch until the end. This might be the wake-up call your body has been trying to send for a long time. Let's start with a fruit that seems harmless. Online, in books and magazines, even at the doctor's office, you've seen it praised as a natural anti-inflammatory miracle. It's juicy, refreshing, tasty, and often makes its way straight onto the healthy eating menu. But for people over 60, pineapple can be a sweet trap. You may have heard of bromelain, the enzyme in pineapple known for reducing inflammation. But what few people mention is this: pineapple doesn't just contain bromelain, it also contains natural sugars and strong acids, 2 things an aging body struggles to handle. Why? Because after age 60, blood vessels start to become fragile, weaker, and slower to respond to sugar. When you eat pineapple, the natural sugars can cause a sudden spike in blood sugar, putting strain on your circulatory system, especially the tiny capillaries that nourish your legs, feet, and muscles. The result? Less oxygen reaches your legs, circulation slows down, your legs start to feel tired, swollen, and heavy after a walk. Your knees stiffen when you stand up. Even your ankles might ache, even if you've been sitting all day. And that's just the sugar. The acid in pineapple is another problem. If you already suffer from arthritis, knee pain, or hip joint issues, that acid can directly irritate the inflamed areas, making the pain dull, persistent, and hard to explain. People who eat pineapple regularly often describe their legs feeling heavy, like their energy is slowly draining away bit by bit. But that's not all. Bromelain, the miracle compound mentioned earlier, can interact with certain medications, especially blood thinners. It can either make those drugs too strong or weaken their effect. And here's the dangerous part. There are no clear warning signs, no alerts. The impact just builds up until one day you realize you can't walk like you used to. That's what worries me the most. Many older adults believe they're eating right, when in fact they're unknowingly weakening their own legs. So what should you do? I'm not saying you have to give up pineapple forever. But if you're dealing with swollen legs, joint pain, or unexplained fatigue in your legs, it's time to start limiting it. Not because pineapple is bad, but because it might not be right for your body anymore. A fruit that seems totally safe, sweet, soft, convenient, great for your muscles, right? Not exactly, not if you're over 60. Bananas are high in potassium. Everyone knows that. They're advertised as a muscle booster, cramp preventer, and energy source. But here's the truth most people don't mention. Bananas are also packed with sugar and fast-digesting starch, and that's a problem for aging bodies. When you eat a banana, your blood sugar spikes quickly. Your body is forced to respond by pumping out insulin again and again. Over time, circulation slows, inflammation creeps up, and your legs start to speak up. Your legs feel heavier after meals. Your calves tighten up when you walk. Each flight of stairs gets a little harder than the day before. But it doesn't stop there. Bananas also cause your body to retain water, especially if you have heart or circulation issues. The result? Stiffer joints, feet and ankles slightly but stubbornly swollen, and a growing sense of losing control. You keep eating bananas because you believe they support muscle health. But at this stage of life, they might actually be doing the opposite, not harming you instantly. It's not like eat one and collapse. It's the slow drip effect day after day. And here's the saddest part, you don't suspect a thing. Bananas look harmless, friendly, they don't seem risky. But if your legs feel heavy, your calves ache, or your joints are constantly puffy, it might be time to take a closer look at your fruit bowl. Not because bananas are the enemy, but because they might not be your ally anymore. Fruit 3, grapes, small but not so innocent. Grapes, small, juicy, easy to eat. One of those fruits that make you drop your guard. They're often praised as a heart-friendly snack, packed with antioxidants, and they look completely harmless. But if your body is aging, grapes might quietly be one of the reasons your legs are getting weaker day by day. Sounds unlikely. The problem lies in fructose, the natural sugar found in grapes. Fructose isn't processed the same way as glucose. It heads straight to the liver, and when you eat a lot, like when snacking on grapes, the liver converts the excess into fat and uric acid. And here's the key point. Uric acid, when it builds up, often settles in small joints like the big toe, ankles, and knees. The result? A burning, nagging pain, sometimes with sudden swelling. Your feet hurt even after a light walk. You're lying in bed and your toe throbs out of nowhere. Your calves tighten up even though you haven't done anything strenuous. Just a handful of grapes a day, repeated for a few weeks, can lead to uric acid buildup beyond what your liver can handle. And that's not all. Fructose also fuels chronic inflammation, stiffens your joints, raises internal pressure, and makes each step feel more sluggish. It's easy to understand but easy to forget. Grapes are way too easy to overeat. You don't stop at 5 or 6. In no time, you've downed 2 or 3 bowls. And with every tiny grape, you're adding a little more sugar, a little more strain on your liver, your joints, your legs. So even if you think you're snacking healthy, what you're really doing is slowly swelling your joints, weighing down your legs, and making movement harder bit by bit. If you've recently noticed joint stiffness, swollen ankles, or dull pain when walking, take a moment to think. How many grapes are you eating every day? The problem might be hiding in that seemingly harmless fruit. Fruit 4, watermelon, cool, sweet, but deceptive. Watermelon, mildly sweet, ice cold, and almost entirely water. It's the symbol of summer, the thing you eat to stay hydrated. The safe dessert everyone assumes is great for older adults. But here's something most people don't know. Watermelon can fool you. Because even though it tastes like water and feels like water inside your body, it acts like sugar. Let's talk about the glycemic index, GI. Watermelon has a very high GI, which means even just one slice can spike your blood sugar as fast as a piece of candy. Now, for a younger body, that's not such a big deal. But once you're past 60, everything slows down. Your insulin doesn't regulate as well. Blood circulation gets weaker. Inflammation kicks in faster and harder. So what happens? The areas where circulation is weakest, knees, ankles, calves, start to speak up. Legs feel tired after meals. A dull ache creeps in after short walks, persistent, mild swelling around the ankles, and stairs. They start to feel like a steep uphill climb. Why is watermelon so dangerous? Because it makes you drop your guard. It's light, it's juicy, no fat, low in calories, so you eat more, one slice, then another, then half a melon. And each bite brings another sugar spike, another hit of inflammation, another bit of pressure on your legs. You think you're hydrating your body, but what you're really doing is flooding it with sugar. You thought watermelon helped older adults stay hydrated. Maybe it does for some. But if after eating watermelon your legs feel heavier, your knees stiffer, or your ankles a little more swollen, it might be time to rethink things. A fruit that seems weightless could be putting real weight on your legs. Fruit 5. Oranges, vitamin C4 immunity or acid for an aging body. Oranges bright, mildly sweet with a pleasant citrus scent. They're often part of your breakfast, show up in juices, immunity-boosting products, or any time you feel the need to support your immune system. And yes, the vitamin C in oranges is beneficial, but not for everyone. If you're 60 or older and have joint problems, inflammation, stiffness, that constant dull ache, oranges might not be as healthy for you as you think. Why citric acid? The natural acid in oranges is the issue. It's not something you feel right after eating, but it can irritate joint tissues, especially joints that are already worn down, weakened, or inflamed. Have you ever felt a dull ache in your hips after sitting for a while? Noticed your legs feel tired even without much activity? Had stiff knees in the morning, making that first step out of bed hard? You might chalk it up to just aging. But if you drink orange juice every morning or eat oranges regularly thinking they're good for immunity, there's a good chance you're unknowingly making the pain worse. Because citric acid doesn't just stay in your stomach. It enters the bloodstream, reaches your tissues, especially inflamed joints, and triggers more swelling, pain, and stiffness. And let's not forget, oranges contain natural sugars too. When sugar plus acid combine, you get the perfect recipe for blood sugar spikes and crashes, widespread inflammation, tension in the knees, ankles, calves, heavier, more painful steps. Oranges don't hurt you instantly. And for younger people, they may be just fine. But for an aging body, poor circulation, and weak joints, this effect can slowly build up. The most dangerous part, you don't suspect the orange. You believe you're taking care of your health, when in reality, you might be doing the opposite. If you eat oranges regularly and also deal with constant leg or joint pain, now you know what to pay attention to. Not because oranges are bad, but because your body has changed. And it may be time to choose a different kind of healthy that fits you better now. Fruit 6. Green apples, crisp, clean, light, but not harmless. Green apples, they look clean, crisp, slightly tart, not overly sweet. They seem like the safe choice for older adults, low in sugar, refreshing, and unlikely to cause weight gain. But there's a truth many people overlook. Green apples can aggravate your joints more than you think. There are 2 reasons behind this. Malic acid, the compound responsible for that signature tartness, and natural sugars, less than in red apples but still significant. For younger people, malic acid is a natural antioxidant, but in older adults it can irritate internal tissues, including the joints. Especially as the gut lining, capillaries, and cartilage tissues begin to weaken with age, malic acid becomes more irritating to the digestive system and musculoskeletal health. You might not notice it at first, but if you've ever felt a dull ache in your hips or thighs after eating, noticed your knees stiffen up, or sensed a subtle heat in the soles of your feet even without much activity, then this acid might be the overlooked culprit. It doesn't hit all at once, but if eaten regularly, the acid buildup can make recurring pain more frequent. And when it comes to the sugar in green apples, though lower than in sweeter varieties, it's still natural sugar. In an aging body with slower metabolism, that sugar can lead to blood sugar swings which may trigger aching calves, Nighttime leg cramps, morning stiffness in the joints, a weak or shaky feeling when climbing stairs. Here's the risky part. Green apples are often eaten without a second thought. Many treat them like a casual snack, or eat one before bed thinking it's a healthy habit. But for older adults, the body no longer reacts to fruit the way it did at 30. Green apples seem like a smart choice. But if you've noticed your movement feels a bit stiffer after eating them, that might not be a coincidence. You don't need to cut them out entirely. But knowing your limit and listening to how your body responds each time, that's how you eat smart for your age. Fruit 7. Mango, the sugar bomb hiding behind a sweet shell. We've talked about apples, watermelon, grapes. But now let's talk about one of the most popular and beloved fruits, especially in summer, and also one of the most dangerous if you're over 60. Mango, soft, juicy, fragrant and sweet like candy. A fruit often considered nature's treat, easy to eat, and even easier to get hooked on, especially when it's hot outside. But the truth is, for anyone dealing with foot issues, joint pain, or peripheral nerve problems, mango can be a real sugar bomb. Why? Mango contains a very high amount of natural sugar, not a little. Enough to spike your blood sugar after just a few bites. If you're young, your body might be able to handle that spike. But once you're past 60, when your metabolism slows down and your insulin response weakens, that spike comes with real consequences. Increased inflammation, higher endothelial pressure, the pressure inside blood vessels, and then a crash in energy and impaired movement. You might not feel it immediately, but if you've ever felt a burning sensation in your toes, numbness in the soles of your feet, slight swelling around your ankles in the evening, or a heavy feeling in your legs even when you haven't done anything strenuous, those could be signs that your body is no longer processing the natural sugars in mango effectively. Mango doesn't make you feel stuffed. It's not like eating a big meal. That's exactly why it's easy to overeat. A slice, then another, then half a mango, and before you realize it, your blood sugar is riding a roller coaster. And here's the critical part. The light, fresh feeling when eating mango doesn't reflect how your body reacts. Your body doesn't feel the refreshment. It just sees. This is a lot of sugar, and it has to fight hard to bring things back into balance. In that process, your joints get weaker. Your legs tire out faster. Every step becomes just a little slower. Yes, mango is natural, but natural doesn't always mean appropriate. Not for worn-down joints. Not for a fragile circulatory system, and not if you're trying to keep your legs strong, flexible, and pain-free every day. You've seen the big picture. 7 familiar fruits, seemingly healthy, could actually be quietly weakening your legs, hurting your joints, and making it harder to move with each passing day if you're over 60. But just like with any issue in the body, there's always a solution. The good news is, with the right choices, you can turn things around. No drastic changes, no extreme restrictions. Just a little more awareness each time you put fruit on your plate. What you eat every day could be silently affecting how you walk, stand up, climb stairs, even the freedom you feel in your own home. Don't let it keep happening just because you didn't know. Fruit is good, but the right fruit for your age and condition is the real key. Once you start making intentional choices, you'll feel the difference. Mornings feel lighter. Movements become smoother. Your steps feel more stable. If you're still reading this, I know one thing for sure. You care about your health, your legs, your independence, and your dignity. And here's what you need to know. It's never too late to change. You don't have to start over. You just need to start today. One small step, one smart choice at a time, one better suited fruit, one lower sugar breakfast, one more mindful decision. The 7 fruits we're talking about today are bad. They're just no longer the best fit for your body right now. And that's completely normal. Getting older doesn't mean giving up. Aging is a chance to get smarter, to take charge, and to truly live. When you eat mindfully, choosing foods that nourish your joints, support circulation, and protect your leg strength, you'll notice less pain, less fatigue, more flexibility in the morning, and the feeling that you're still in control of your body. Now it's your turn. Share in the comments. What surprised you most today? What's the first change you'll make? If this video or article was valuable to you, hit like. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss health tips that matter to you. And finally, type 1 if you found this helpful or 0 if not. You have no idea your small feedback could help thousands of others. Stay strong. Stay proactive, because your independence is in every step you take.